Hare Krishna. Welcome to our program. Our speaker of the day is Shriman Gaurang Darshan Prabhu. He has done his master's degree from the prestigious Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, who is a senior disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He is also a member of ISKCON Examination Board and takes classes on Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and Vaishnav etiquettes. He has written elaborate workbooks on Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, with which the students can dive into intricacies of these great scriptures. He is a compiler of many other educational booklets and magazines, thus helping the seekers of Bhagavad knowledge. In all, he is a living encyclopedia of scriptures preaching the science all over the world, and who is exemplary and lives whatever he preaches. Come, let's hear him and try to imbibe the essence of scriptures as presented by him. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We have been discussing the story of Chitraketu Maharaj from the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Chitraketu was the great king of the province named Surasena. His kingdom was so prosperous. His rule was so righteous. All his people were very happy with the king. Earth used to supply all natural resources very profusely in the kingdom of Chitraketu, making both Chitraketu and all his citizens very happy and healthy always. Although there was a lot of happiness in the life of Chitraketu, one shortcoming was there in his life. He had 1 crore wives, but still he did not have one single son also. Because of lack of a child, Chitraketu was really very sorrowful. He was very morose and unhappy and dissatisfied at heart. One day, a great king named Angira Rishi came to Chitraketu's kingdom. And Chitraketu received Angira Rishi very well, and Angira Rishi detected that Chitraketu was not peaceful. There was some anxiety in the mind of Chitraketu. Angira Rishi asked Chitraketu, "Why are you so morose?" Chitraketu said, "Although I have everything, I don't have a son. That's why I am feeling so bad. Because if I don't have a son, who will take care of my kingdom in future? And who will offer Pindadan and offer oblations to my forefathers? All my forefathers will be dwelling in hell if I don't have a son. And it's my responsibility to give an able successor to rule the kingdom after my departure. I am very anxious. My dear Angira Rishi, can you please help me get a son?" So Chitraketu requested Angira Rishi like this. Angira Rishi understood the condition of Chitraketu and he performed a great sacrifice. And through that sacrifice, Chitraketu would be getting a son. And Chitraketu became so jubilant after Angira Rishi performed this sacrifice. And Angira Rishi gave him a warning note. "Chitraketu, you are certainly going to have a son, but this son would be the cause of your joy and sorrow both. He will give you happiness and he will also give you lamentation." Chitraketu thought that, okay, my son may cause lamentation to me because he could be disobedient. But having a disobedient son is better than having no son. But Chitraketu was so overwhelmed with the joy that he was going to get a son that he did not properly understand the indication or caution note given by Angira Rishi. Eventually, Chitraketu's first wife, Kritadyuti, became pregnant and she gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. And Chitraketu became so happy and he celebrated the joy of this child's birth by giving profuse amounts of charity to all the Brahmanas and his citizens. In this very happy situation, Chitraketu started giving so much of time and attention and affection to his son, and naturally he started giving more time and attention to the son's mother Kritadyuti. Chitraketu had 1 crore wives. Out of 1 crore wives, only one wife, Kritadyuti, the eldest wife, became the mother of a son. Remaining 99,99,999 wives of Chitraketu were barren. They did not have children. And Chitraketu naturally gave more and more attention and affection to Kritadyuti and the newborn son, that all the other wives are neglected. Chitraketu did not consciously neglect them, but because of his joy and because he was so overwhelmed with happiness, he did not even consider to spend some time with the remaining wives. He had spent all time with the first wife Kritadyuti only. And other sons, other queens of Chitraketu eventually became very envious. They became so jealous. They thought, our husband is not spending any time with us. A wife who does not have a child is worse than a maid servant also. Chitraketu Maharaj, although he married all of us, he was not at all looking at us. He was not at all giving us any time and attention. He was spending all his time with the first wife only. All these 99,99,999 wives of Chitraketu became so jealous, so envious, so disheartened, so morose. They condemned their position as motherless, as sonless mothers. So they felt that we are much inferior to even maid servants also. Even maid servants also can enter the king's room, king's palace, and then do some service there. But we have no reason to enter the palace. So Chitraketu Maharaj was spending more and more time with Kritadyuti and her son, and other wives started planning. They started contemplating harm to this baby boy. They were thinking, before this child's birth, our husband was equally disposed towards all of us. But after this child's birth, our husband neglected us. So this child is the cause of our sorrow. So thinking in this way, all these 99,99,999 wives of Chitraketu wanted to kill the child. They came together, so they conspired and they poisoned the baby. They administered poison to the child. Whenever somebody becomes envious, such an envious person loses all discrimination and all intelligence. An envious person cannot maintain proper intelligence. An envious person is always, although he has all good intelligence, that intelligence cannot function because the person's mind is overtaken by envy. So these envious queens lost all intelligence. What did the baby do? A small child who cannot contemplate or cause any harm to anyone, these queens were thinking that this small child is the cause of our suffering. So they administered poison. So they became so hard-hearted, they lost all intelligence and they took to destructive action. There are 3 results of being envious. Number 1, one will lose all intelligence. Number 2, the people will lose all discrimination and they will take to destructive action. So the envious wives of Chitraketu administered poison to the small child and the child died. And Kritadyuti was thinking that my child is sleeping in the bed for a long time. She ordered the maid servant, "Oh, maid servant, can you just go and wake up my child? He seems to be sleeping for a long time. So he should not be sleeping for such a long time." And all his playmates are around, they are waiting for him to come and play. This child is sleeping, just go and wake him up. And the maid servant went to the sleeping child and then wanted to wake up the child, and she realized the child is lifeless. The child has already died. And seeing the death of this child, the maid servant just collapsed. She shouted so loudly and she collapsed. She fainted. Then Kritadyuti, the queen, the mother of the child, came running towards the child and she wanted to pick up that baby, and she also understood that the child has no more life. And all this is because of the destructive tendency developed by the remaining queens of Chitraketu. Now, these queens are not only responsible for the child's death. Indirectly, Chitraketu is also responsible for the child's death. Because as a husband, as a king, this Chitraketu is supposed to be treating all his wives in a proper manner. He should be seeing all the wives equally. But Chitraketu did not manage to do that. He neglected his wives. Because of the king's neglect, these queens became very envious and killed the child. Definitely, this killing of the child is the mistake of these queens, but Chitraketu is also kind of indirectly instigating this whole activity. So, we should behave in such a way that our own good nature comes out, and we should also behave in such a way that other people's good nature comes out. Depending on our behavior, other people also will behave. So, we should not unnecessarily instigate the bad nature of another person. So, by our own good or bad activities also will have some influence on other people. So, other people also will behave in a good way or bad way depending on how we behave. All the residents of the entire palace started crying profusely. This is a newborn child, and after such a long time, this child has taken birth, and suddenly he died. No one expected this. The entire kingdom of Chitraketu was so jubilant that our king got a child, got a son after such a long time. They were so jubilant. All the residents of the palace, the soldiers, the ministers, the maid servants, everyone was happy. But suddenly when the child died, everyone started lamenting. The more we hanker for an object, the more we lament for that same object when we lose that object. Because this child's birth was anticipated by everyone for such a long time, when they lost the child, these people could not tolerate this misery. Kritadyuti was so miserable. Kritadyuti became so disheartened that she started blaspheming God. Oh God, you are going against your own creative laws. How can a child die during the lifetime of father? The father is still alive and the child died. How can this happen? If the father has no ability to produce more children, and if the existing child dies, how can we get another child? So Chitraketu, it was not there in his destiny to have a child. That's why he did not have a child, although he had 1 crore wives. And finally he got one child, and that child is also lost. So now there is no possibility of getting another child. That's why this Kritadyuti started lamenting and he started blaming the providence. In happiness, one may conveniently forget God, thinking that all this happiness is a result of my own endeavors. Sometimes materialistic people may forget God in their happiness. And some other foolish people, they blame God during their distress. They take credit for all the happiness that they attain in their lives, but they blame God for all the distress that they get in one's life. Why is God doing this to me? Why is the Supreme Lord not so merciful? How can a small child, what harm did he do? What sinful activities did he do? What sinful activities did I do to have my child dead in such a young age? Like that, people start lamenting. So, one may not understand the sinful baggage or the pious baggage of different living entities. For some unknown sin, unseen reactions are awaited. So, a person is supposed to be experiencing all reactions to one's sinful activities. So, one needs to understand that the law of karma is very prominent. A person may die and a person may take birth according to one's own karma, and that can happen anytime according to the sanction of the Lord and according to the laws of nature. and one should not unnecessarily blame God or blame other people for the loss of one's near and dear relatives. But here Kritadyuti started exhibiting her great pain by blaspheming God. And all the palace residents also cried there, and all the queens of Chitraketu who administered poison to the child also started crying. When the queens were crying, they were not shedding genuine tears, they were shedding fake tears, because it is they who have poisoned the child. The queens already knew that this child is going to die, and it is their plan that the child has to die, and they were actually happy that, oh, now Chitraketu is going to give us all attention, all love, and all good treatment. So far he has been neglecting us because of this child. Now the child died, now we can be happy. They were thinking like that. But because everyone else is also lamenting and crying and shedding tears, these queens also started shedding tears. Thus, entire palace was in great moroseness, great sadness. This news was communicated to Chitraketu, who was elsewhere. And Chitraketu, as soon as he heard it, he could not believe it. But when he was emphatically told that his child died, Chitraketu was falling and tripping, and with great difficulty he reached the place where the child's dead body was lying there. Then Chitraketu also started crying. He became speechless, he fainted, he became unconscious, and then he again got up. He was crying, and the queen was also crying, and everyone else was crying. This is the nature of material world. There is a cause of happiness, immediately there is a cause of distress. Angira Rishi has already told Chitraketu that the son Chitraketu was going to get would be the cause of both his lamentation and happiness. Earlier, Chitraketu became so joyful that he was going to get a son. Now Chitraketu became extremely morose and sad that he lost this son. Some time back he did not have any son. Now he had a son and he lost it. So to the degree one has attachment to an object, to that degree one becomes so morose and unhappy when one loses that object. So Chitraketu's condition is like that. Condition of Kritadyuti was like that, and condition of all palace residents was like that. And the queens conspired and caused this whole action. And Angira could detect it before only. But he did not reveal the news to Chitraketu earlier, because Chitraketu was not in the right mood, right consciousness to hear the truth. When our mind is completely overtaken by either joy or sorrow, we cannot listen to the truth peacefully. So Angira Rishi could have revealed spiritual knowledge to Chitraketu before only. But Angira Rishi did not do that, because Chitraketu was so much in lamentation that he did not have a son. And after he was getting his son, Angira Rishi could have given spiritual knowledge. But Angira Rishi did not do that, because Chitraketu was so happy that he was going to get a son. Now that Chitraketu experienced the joy of having a son, and also experienced the pain of having no son, and now experiencing the pain of the child's death, now he had all these experiences. Now is the right time for Angira Rishi to give him some spiritual knowledge. So in this context, Angira Rishi came to the kingdom of Chitraketu. In this context, Angira Rishi also brought Narada Muni, another powerful, pure devotee of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, to the kingdom of this Chitraketu. Angira Rishi and Narada Muni, both of them came to Chitraketu, and Chitraketu was lamenting. And Narada Muni and Angira Rishi asked Chitraketu, "My dear Chitraketu, why are you lamenting?" And it's obvious. What is this question? They are all lamenting for the death of the son. Now the question is, this son was not there before his birth. Okay, and you are lamenting for the death of the child. So the body is lying there, and you are interacting with that body all the while, and there is no reason for lamentation because the body is lying there. And if you are lamenting for the soul, soul has no death, and soul never dies. and the soul we have never seen only. The real person who is there within the body of this small child was never seen. So why are you lamenting? So in this way, Angira Rishi and Narada Muni asked so many questions to Chitraketu just to give some spiritual knowledge to him. And eventually Narada Muni also brings the dead child back to life, so that all the palace residents can understand that the soul transmigrates from one body to another body. And while the soul is passing from one body to another body, the soul acquires so many relatives and so many emotional attachments towards all these relatives during one's tenure in that material body. But that material body itself is temporary, and all the material relationships that come along with that body are also temporary. So this temporary nature of material relationships is more vividly described in the teachings of Narada Muni and Angira Rishi, and we will discuss all of that in the next episode. Hare Krishna.
For more such devotional programs, please watch Hare Krishna television. To get this channel, please contact your cable or DTH operator. For more information, please call 8767 845 845.